Welcome, YouTubers, to another Boku no Hero Academy episode review. In this episode, we're going to talk about episode 7, Deku versus Kachan. And this episode, now I gotta tell you, this episode finally gave everybody's chance to see Deku versus Kachan's fight finally animated. Woo-wee. And I gotta say, this episode was done nicely, and it was done perfect right there. You know, everybody was anticipating for like a whole entire week, and now we finally got to see it. And personally, in my opinion, this fight was, it was like 50-50. It was a showing between Deku and Kachan's past, and then like the rest of the other episode, which is basically them actually focusing on the task at hand. At first, we see Katsuki actually, it's like the episode mostly focuses all about him. That's what you're gonna be mostly looking at. It's not gonna be about Midoriya or Uraraka or Ten. No. It's literally all about Katsuki. And that's what it is. It's basically Katsuki's resolve to defeat Midoriya, and it's so hilarious because throughout the whole entire episode you're not really looking at that. You're really looking at it as like, oh, you're actually looking at it as like, they have to win this mission that All Might has given them. But in reality, Katsuki, and throughout his own eyes, he's actually looking at this as in, I have to beat Deku. I have to show him that, I'm the man. I'm the stronger person. I'm sorry, but it's just that because when they were showing that Deku and Kachan's past, they were showing that you kind of see why Katsuki actually has that resolve in itself to prove to Deku that why he's just not as strong as he is. Because you can kind of see in the past that Katsuki, throughout the whole entire childhood, he actually has been almost promoted, you could say. He's been getting glamour, he's been getting praises. People have been telling him, Katsuki, you're so cool, you're so this, and Deku's always been, how do I say, like the class clown, and he kind of used that as his scapegoat for basically saying that I'm the best. I'm gonna use you. It's kind of like a school. It's kind of like a high school thing, or like a middle school thing where you pick on the class clown and you become the cool kid. You know, that's cool and all, but in this case, since they're like a little older now, in this case right here, we kind of clearly get to see that Katsuki is now not being, like, I would say, the most popular one. Instead, well, he is popular in a sense in this episode, or in the whole entire school, since he has the strongest quirk, but more in a sense that it's more of that Deku is becoming slowly more popular than him because of his not in his ability not to use his quirk. That's what makes the Midoriya right there in itself more amazing, is because he's not using any quirk and he still stands above the rest, and that's what kind of shows it off. And all he has to do is just use his, and it's funny because I like the fact that Midoriya only uses his quirk in every episode at least once, or like he doesn't showcase it a lot, and that's what's hilarious, that, and then he becomes on top of the class right there in every single time he proves himself. He's just proving to everybody that you know that not that it also takes brains and over bronze in order to stand over trial. Because throughout this episode, in the fight, we actually clearly see that Kachan is actually he's actually gaining the upper hand against Midoriya. Not gonna lie to you, he actually was. And it's hilarious because when you're looking at this fight, you're actually thinking like Midoriya he really is gonna lose. Midoriya is actually gonna lose because of the fact that Kachan is going on the offensive all throughout the whole entire time. He even actually used his own signature technique in this fight, which I thought that was actually pretty cool when it was animated. I'm pretty sure all of you really enjoyed the fact that they actually also focused on how I would say Katsuki's quirk is actually used. He actually uses nitroglycerin in his palms, and then he actually like stores it in like one of the shells that he has around his arms, and just releases it like a grenade. Now that was pretty intense. See, that would have been an ultimate finisher move right there. So if he used it at the end instead of using it in the beginning, because when he used it, it was more of the case that like he's just trying to use it as an intimidation and fear for Midoriya. Now Midoriya, in this case, we actually see that it's not working. So and that's what's happening in this episode, that Katsuki can't use his own way. He's not gaining his own way. He's always using intimidation and fear and power, and it's not working because Midoriya now is actually standing up for himself, and is actually proving to him that you're not as scary as you think you are. And that's what's really great about this episode, is the fact that this episode was more of a mind game as well with Midoriya and Katsuki, because when you look at it in the long run, you actually see Midoriya actually he's actually more strong-willed than Katsuki. Katsuki has a strong physical body, yes, he does, but his mind is not as strong, and that's what we see these in the two differences right there. Midoriya he has a strong mental fortitude, yet Katsuki is just like a knucklehead. It's just, he only has one mission in mind. That's it, and he'll like lay it out. He's kind of like a little child. You just that's just throwing a tantrum throughout this whole entire episode. Now, we actually see later on in the episode that even All Might also distinguishes that Katsuki actually has like a villainous personality, you could say. But even All Might also, he kind of focuses on the fact that it's very distinguishable, but it's very thin. He's on a borderline thin line where he can also be a villain as well, because throughout the whole entire fight, Katsuki was going, oh, I'm gonna use my attack. I'm only gonna lower the power just a little so I won't hurt you, and so forth and so forth. And you're here wondering, like Katsuki is being careful, but at the same time, his sanity is also like it's almost gone too. At the same time, there's gonna be a time and a place where he's gonna lose that. And like I said before, Midoriya is mentally stronger than Katsuki, and in this episode clearly showed that in itself. Now, throughout the fight, we actually see Tenya and Uraraka's fight as well. Now that fight was actually very comical in a sense. It wasn't as serious as Katsuki's and Midoriya's fight. Uraraka's and Tenya's fight, that was more comical because in the way that they kind of showcased it was, Tenya was actually trying to act more villain, but you can see that the way that he showcased himself was kind of like a stereotypical villain, like a Sentai warrior villain. That's what makes me laugh. Is just the way that they actually did that. It was so hilarious at the fact that he's laughing at the top of his lungs, and Uraraka even laughs at the fact too that wow, I can't believe he's actually taking this really seriously. Like it's just so. I'm sorry, but just the way that when I saw that little scene right there, it kind of made me chuckle there. I'm pretty sure all of you chuckled there as well. Now, Tenya, personality is a serious one. That's why you kind of took this whole fight seriously. But Uraraka, her quirk is gravity, right? So she really couldn't do nothing throughout the whole entire fight. So what basically Midoriya had in mind kind of flipped the table, and that's what I like about this episode too. That you actually see that again with Midoriya actually using his brain instead of bronze. Actually, he showcased both of them. My mistake. He used both of them all in one go instead of using one individual thing, because he actually formulated a plan in order for them to win, and that was basically to use the One for All's ability and like punch all the way through the roof and make a hole throughout the whole entire like building. And you literally see Katsuki just like amazed and in awe that this actually happened. And when the minute that he created a giant explosion upwards, you actually see that it gave a chance to Uraraka actually grab the machine. Now that was pretty, like I love the way that they actually had perfect teamwork in a sense right there. Throughout, like I said, they were in control. In reality, when you look at this, Tenya and Katsuki, they weren't in control throughout this whole entire fight. To me, it looked like they were playing again in the palm of Midoriya's hands, and that's what's great, That's like I tell you that Midoriya is mentally stronger than him. I'm gonna keep saying that over and over again because this episode clearly showed that. And it's funny at the fact that if the tables were turned, if Tenya actually was used instead of Katsuki, they actually would have won if you think about it. Because in the earlier episode scene, you actually see Midoriya take out a capture tape or something like that. All they have to do, if they use that to capture tape, Katsuki would have won. That's it. This episode would have been done, and they would have moved on to another one. But because of Katsuki's pride, he wants to showcase Deku. He he lost, and it was basically Katsuki's own pride that brought him to his own demise. And I'm surprised Tenya didn't even see that as well, which I kind of found that odd in a sense. You know, Tenya didn't like he actually should have been on the floor, and it would have been perfect. But I'm guessing it's probably because he probably saw that Katsuki and Midoriya had a thing going on. He probably wanted to stay out of that. Maybe that's why Tenya didn't really like get into that fight because it's like a little right a sibling rivalry right there going on. That maybe that's why Tenya was backed off, and he's like, you know what, I'll stay back and let you guys handle it. And which I like I said, Tenya is actually a smarter person than it looks. So there's always a reason behind Tenya's plans. But like I said, this episode was great and all. Let me know what you guys think about this episode because damn, I was left in awe. Throughout this whole entire episode, man, I was waiting for a whole entire week. I'm just like, when is the next episode gonna come out? When is the next episode gonna come out? But this was actually great. But let me know what you guys think about this episode. I personally enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the whole entire animation that they actually done for this whole episode. You actually get to see how great the explosion was. You actually get to see the vibrant colors that when it showcased Katsuki's bomb attack. It's just great in a sense right there. This episode is slowly paced, but it's paced in a good sense. But like I said, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this episode. What was your favorite scene as well? But also don't forget, if you guys enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe. This is Mr. Zen signing out.